Hi guys, I'm Sachin Mishra and welcome back to the third part of our XD Basic Training course. Let's take a look at the line tool. It's basically a path that's well straight. So if I come in and select the line tool, I can either click on it or type L on the keyboard. And as I press and drag, I get that line. I can freely draw it. If I hold the shift key, it's going to constrain me to 45 degrees angles. So that's going to be 90 there, 45 here. If I want it to be, I can go ahead and move a point on the path. So if I change over to the selection tool or the V tool, I can come in and grab the end of that line and change where it's placed. Notice in the layers panel, it's a line. If I double click on it, it's converted to a path in the layers panel. It will allow me to come back in and edit that line so I can add additional points on the line consistent with paths. Once I do that, I can come in and press and drag with the handles to make it rounded segment or a straight line as we work. If I hit escape, I can always get right on it by being exactly where the line is, right clicking. So Boolean operations combine any set of shape layers using a mathematical formula. The good news is that XD figures out their formula based on one of those four commands: add, subtract, intersect, and exclude overlap. They are pretty common in the vector design and you can read up on the implementation examples. To access the feature, you need to select more than one object. So let's create two objects first, overlapping each other. I will come in and select these two objects here, and in the upper right hand corner of the app, here in the properties inspector, I can see each of the operations in a visual way. So I'm going to click on the first icon, which is for add. If I'm not sure, I can hover over and get a tooltip. So I will come in and select these two objects and hover over that third icon. The tooltip lets me know it's going to apply the intersect operation. I will go ahead and click on that, and then I will select my large group and apply the exclude overlap. Now the nice part about this implementation is it's non-destructive. What that means is I can come into my Boolean group. Notice in the layers panel they have been named automatically as a group. So the default name has been changed to let me know which operation was applied. I can override that with my own custom name, but I can also double click and get back inside the group and make changes. So I may want to select one of these objects and just adjust it. As I mentioned, it's non-destructive, so I can make that change. And if I hit escape, you go back up a level to the root of the group there, and then do one more time just to step out onto the design canvas. One of the nice things about Boolean groups is they can make terrific masks. So I'm going to borrow one of these terrific booleans that we have just created as we talk about masks and placed images. I'm going to move it to the side here and resize it a bit larger. When images are placed in Adobe XD, they automatically are masked inside of a rectangular shape. Now, unlike other Adobe applications, you don't necessarily go and select File, Place in the menu. To include images or text, you simply go to the folder and select the images or text and press and drag it into the design canvas. So let's do that now. I'm going to switch over to the images folder, and here within the folder you will notice that I created a subfolder images or text. So I have a number of images and some text files that will work with in a little bit. For now, I want to just select the image that I will like to work with. I will go ahead and select this one and press and drag it on the canvas. Once it's here, I can come in and drag it to the side, and then grabbing the control handle on the lower right hand corner, press and drag to resize it. Now it's a little bit spread, but what we have here is an image placed inside of a mask of a rectangle. I can tell you that by double clicking on the object, which takes me in a level to the image level. From here I could come and place and drag that image up towards the corner, let's say, and resize it if I like to, and maybe crop half of it off, depending on what I'm doing. When I'm done, I can either hit escape on the keyboard or just click off onto the design canvas, and now I have that image appropriately masked. If I want to come in now and do that same thing with the boolean group that I have, I will switch back over to the images folder, and this time what I will do is, for the image that I want to place inside that shape, I am going to press and drag it, but not directly on the design canvas. I will keep dragging until I see the shape that I am dragging into highlight, and when I release, it's going to add that image. Pretty interesting with that funny boolean. But I will go ahead and double click, and I'm going to resize this image so that it fills my funny shape just a bit more, and when I click off, I have a mask applied. Images within the mask behave pretty much like any other objects that we have worked with on the design canvas. So I can select this object and apply a stroke still if I like. I can add a background shadow, things of that sort. Another handy feature is, once I have placed images on the canvas, I can always select them, and here in the properties inspector, flip them either on the horizontal or on the vertical, which can allow me to make adjustments in my design without having to use a separate image processing tool. I can also easily copy and paste images from one object to another. So real quick, if I came in here and grab my ellipse tool and made it a little more proportional, I can easily now go back to my selection tool, double click to get inside the mask that exists there. So I am at the image level. I'm going to right click and copy that onto the clipboard. Come out to my ellipse shape, right click, and once again I have to make sure I have the right selection state. I can then come in and paste appearance, which is going to add that masked image into my shape. Double clicking once again allows me to get inside the mask and place the actual image inside the ellipse. Now let's take a look at the type controls in the XD. Type is pretty straightforward at XD. The team has been steadily adding functionality and has some aggressive plans to take it a lot further. But it's a pretty simple, straightforward implementation at the moment. If you're familiar with other Adobe applications, you will likely have a good sense of what each of the features do. But there's definitely a few nuances that, at least in my case, took a while to discover, that I thought I will share. What I want to do now is actually bring text into this application, and the behavior used is very similar to what we do with images. You can go to the systems folder and you can have any text file that's there and just press and drag onto that canvas. It will come over as unformatted text by default. You can also go to any other application and copy it from that application and paste it into XD. So just a moment ago, I went to the web browser and typed in what is design, and then I copied that definition to the clipboard. Here on the design canvas, if I right click and paste that onto the canvas, it's going to paste in the center of my artboard. And as I mentioned, it's unformatted text. Notice that I have a text container here. I can come in and bring up the bottom of that container and reduce it to this smaller. I can make this a wider container. Notice that I get a red dots towards the bottom. That's letting me know that I'm clipping some of the text inside the container. If I double click, it will expand out to show all of that full text within the column that I have defined. So the height becomes variable. This is the behavior for area text. Point text is a little different, and it's a little geared towards the headlines and large bit of text. So another approach I will use here is, I'm going to type T on the keyboard, or I can come here to the tools and select the text tool. Next, I want to just go ahead and click and release, and I will type in what is design. That looks like obviously there's a little formatting that's already going on here. I'm hitting the escape key. I'm going to type V on the keyboard, which brings me to my select tool. I'm going to press and drag it down. Now the advantage with point text is that it's very visual. It's going to handle whatever you have defined as a single line of text. Notice I don't have handles that control the left and right side. What can I do is select this dot towards the bottom and press and drag to visually resize the text until it looks like something that I have in mind. Now I have the ability to toggle point text and area text. The way I would do that is come over and with the object selected, and here in the properties inspector, somewhat hidden here in the corner, there is what took me 2 years to find. I can toggle between area text and point text. So if I click, it will convert that over to area text, where I could come in and make it very narrow column or make it even wider if I like to send it within a container. I can always toggle that back by just coming back to the selection here in the properties inspector and switching it back to the point text and then moving where I like to align it. So pretty straightforward. From here, text styling is also pretty straightforward with another set of few tricks that I can show you along the way. I'm going to go ahead and select this block of text here on the left, and here in the properties inspector I can come in and set my text attributes. So I know the name of what I'm looking for. We will type just the first letters, Montserrat. If I hit the tab key, it will make me to the next field. In that field I can either use the arrow key to increase the size of by 1 pixel at a time. If I hold the shift key, it's going to do it in increments of 10, so quite large. I'm going to come back down the side and then once again double click to increase the height of my text column. I have the ability to define alignment. I also can come in and toggle on and off some of these text attributes that can combine in fact. So I have uppercase, lowercase, titling case, superscript, subscript, underline and strike through. Now as you are working, we haven't really talked about this, but the point of XD is to design an experience that perhaps gets built out by a developer. And if you're working on the web, let's say, and you have some pretty extensive text design in your work, you'll have the ability to export these as specifications. So your developer can easily convert the visual design that you have created into CSS or code snippets that can be used in the development process. So it's kind of a living specification, which is pretty exciting. Color controls are pretty similar to text controls. They have pretty straightforward. I'm going to go ahead and select my rectangle tool. Press and drag a shape into the design canvas. With it still selected here on the canvas, I will go ahead and switch to my select tool. So I'll type V as I don't accidentally create another rectangle. And now here in the properties inspector towards the lower area, I have the ability to define different attributes. So I can come in and select a fill color. As we did a little earlier on, I will select this lovely bright shade of blue. With that said, I can come in and set the opacity of that control. So I can either visually just press and drag until I get to a level of transparency that I like. I can come in and type in an absolute value. So let's say I go with 50%. I also, if I click off with the object still selected, notice there's an overall experience value for opacity. So let's undo that for a moment. When I come in here, if I set this to 100% fill, I can also set it to a global attribute to the entire object under appearance here. See how it says 100? If I come on to the keyboard and type 5 on the keyboard, it's going to change the overall appearance to be 50%. If I type 9, I'm going back up to 90. Type 2, it's at 20%. So we'll go with 5 or 50%. And that applies as I mentioned to everything, both fill and border color. To that end, I can come in and define a border. I can come in and select one of the colors that I have here, or using an eyedropper tool, I can go to any other application that's out here. I can go to an image I might have placed on the design canvas and just pick that color as long as something that I can see. I can pick it using the eyedropper tool. We'll go ahead and go with, let's say, this darker shade of blue. I will come in and in the size area I will select that, and using the arrow keys I'm just going to bring up the stroke on that object. That's looking fuzzy to me. So let's go ahead and bring up opacity up to 80%. Still a little fuzzy looking, but we'll go with it, alright. With that object selected, now in the border area, notice I can control the attributes of the stroke that's here. So I decide how the corners appear. Are they rounded? Does it stroke inside, outside, or in the middle of the path or the line that I have drawn? I can also decide how the end caps are handled. Flat rounded, inset, things have that sort. I can define strokes as we did a little earlier. So I might have a fill color that set a border that's 11 pixels in size with a dash value of maybe 30, gap between with the dash at 30, and the space between at 30. As I work with gradients, let's just duplicate this rectangle and take a look at them. So I'm going to press and drag while holding the shift key and the alt key to create a second rectangle or second container. With shift and alt held down, I will let go of my mouse, which duplicates that out for me. With it still selected now in the fill swatch here, when I click on it, notice kind of subtly up towards the top, I see solid color. In the drop down, I can select a gradient, be it linear or radial. So we can go with a linear gradient. This is another one of those really subtle features in XD that you may or may not discover upfront. I have the ability to come in and define the beginning and end point of my gradient. So if I click on this beginning point here, I might decide that I really want it to be much lighter. I can come in and add additional stops. So if I go to the other side, I might want to just darken this up. Alright, we will make it pretty but different. So having said that, notice that with linear gradients still defined here in the pop-up on the canvas, I have a bit of path or an indicator. This allows me to determine how the linear gradient appears. So if I want to make it even more stylish, I can drag it out here and bring it off to the side. So control how that linear gradient is applied. And then in the drop down, if I want to go instead with a radial gradient, which is even more lovely, let's not do that. We'll go back to linear. But I can go ahead and toggle between these two controls in this dialog box. When I'm done, I will click back onto the design canvas and that lovely approach will be applied to what we have just done. I can also copy this content and paste the appearance onto any other object as we have done in the past, or save it as a graphic style to apply to different objects as I proceed throughout my design. And that's the end of third part of our Adobe XD basic training course. In the coming parts, I'm going to cover a lot of stuff and tools and tips in the videos in the coming weeks. So make sure to subscribe, follow and like my channel. I will see you soon. Thank you.